Greetings, roller coaster fanatics! It is a great time to talk about my 25 favorite steel roller coasters. Like I said in an early update, I will not be talking about wooden ones because in 2018 I only got 2 new credits, so nothing really changed with my wooden lineup. It's basically the same as 2017. So go check out that video if you want to see it, even though there's only 15. I'm going to be talking about 25 favorite steel roller coasters today. I decided I wanted to talk about it before I really jump into new credits of 2019. So there only really is one new credit of 2019, and I've ridden 3 new coasters in 2019 already. So let's begin by saying once again, these are just favorites. I don't actually list what coasters are the best because people have different taste of what they want. People would rather either prefer a classic old wooden roller coaster or a ginormous RMC. People have different tastes, and that's totally fine. That's why I mentioned favorites. These are just my personal favorites that just overall I've had the best experience on, and that I've just been like, oh my gosh, this is so good. So I'm going to be very quick with these because we got 25 coasters to go through, so I'm just going to be very quick on my thoughts about them. If you want a full review on them, I will make sure to do so. So let's start off with some honorable mentions. Top Thrill Dragster at Cedar Point, Kingda Ka at Six Flags Great Adventure, Diamondback at Kings Island, Intimidator at Carowinds, and Nitro at Six Flags Great Adventure. And that is in no particular order. Those are just my honorable mentions. So now let's really jump into it with number 25, all the way in Europe, Olympia Looping Roller Coaster at Prater Park. I rode it at Prater Park. This basically goes all over Europe, but when I rode it was at Prater Park in Vienna, Austria, and this ride is awesome. The loops are incredible, and even the helixes are fantastic. They do have weird over-the-shoulder restraints plus lap bars, but other than that, this is a solid ride. Next up at number 24, we have in Missouri Time Traveler. Whoa, this is a crazy experience that you won't find anywhere else. It is so awesome to spin while going upside down and doing the crazy twists and launches, and that drop out of the station is incredible. Back row on this thing is insane. This ride is fantastic, and I highly recommend anybody in the area to go check it out. Coming in at number 23 is at my home park, Six Flags America. We have Superman Ride of Steel. This is a crazy coaster with a funky layout. It has an amazing drop. It slams into a nice right-hand turn. It has some floater and ejector. Oh my gosh, that ending is incredible. And while you can really feel the speed on the first helix, the second helix is just straight up intense, and it is awesome. Next up at number 22, we head down to Williamsburg, Virginia at Busch Gardens Williamsburg for Apollo's Chariot. This was the first ever B&M Hyper Roller Coaster, and man, it still kicks butt. It has amazing floater airtime with some amazing flagector towards the second half, and that second half is what makes it. It is amazing, where you get an amazing airtime hill, then you go into a little bit of twist, and then almost like a double down almost, but it's not, and it's really cool. And of course, you got the nice turnaround in between, then it is just flat out an amazing experience. Happy 20th anniversary, Apollo's Chariot. Coming in at number 21, in Kentucky at Kentucky Kingdom, we have Lightning Run. What a solid ride. It is smooth. It has incredible amount of airtime. While you don't really feel any positive G-forces, you can feel the fact that you're just twisting through a compact layout. And the seats are really weird too, because the way the seats are designed on my back, it forces my back out. So unfortunately, while it's not really comfortable for me to sit in, it still gives a kick butt experience. And talk about coming back to the brake run with all those airtime hills, man. Alrighty, at number 20 is at Six Flags over Georgia, right outside Atlanta, Georgia, Goliath. Awesome. Flat out an amazing B&M Hyper with barely a 200-foot height. It is amazing with just amazing amount of airtime. The fact that you go over the road that takes you to the parking lot, and then you kind of are in a little forest area over a lake, and you just have airtime, then you get slammed into a helix, and then once again, that last half where you just airtime after airtime after airtime. Wow. Alrighty, coming in at number 19 is also at the park. We have Twisted Cyclone. What an awesome RMC, really fun, on the shorter side, but still it packs a punch. Those first 2 inversions are incredible. That wave turn is so wacky, and then you just have flat out some nice pops of ejector throughout the ride. This is just flat out a fun roller coaster. At number 18, we move up to Massachusetts for another RMC named after a cyclone. We have Wicked Cyclone. Wicked Cyclone is just a fun little RMC. For me, it wasn't insane, especially in the front row, but in the back, you really get whipped over some of those hills, and it's just really cool to just be going in and out throughout the structure, and it's awesome. Alright, at number 17, we have in Six Flags Over Texas in Arlington, Texas, Titan. This thing is intense. And when I mean intense, whoa, that bottom of the first drop and going into the double helix, it is so intense that the arms get slammed down. At least they did for me. My arms slammed down. I had no control over them. It was that intense. You get an amazing amount of airtime going over that hill. And in even the second half, after the fact that you go to a complete stop in the brake run, mid-course brake run, the second half is still flies, and it is intense too. This ride, while it is weird, and the fact that it's a hypercoaster focuses more on the twister section, this thing is incredible. Alright, coming in at number 16, outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in Kennywood, we have Phantom's Revenge. This thing is awesome. It is smooth, it is fast, that second drop is ridiculous, and I almost grayed out on the turn after that second drop as well. It is awesome, and why not the airtime at the last half of the ride? Oh my gosh, the airtime is amazing on this. Halfway through, between 20 and 10, we have at number 15, also at Six Flags Over Texas, the new Texas Giant. This is the original RMC that in the back row packs a punch. Front row not so much, for me anyway, but the back row, it was insane. The first half was ridiculous. The airtime was unbelievable, and whipping through those bank turns in the back row was incredible. The second half was a little bit lackluster compared to the first, but the second half still provides an amazing amount of airtime, and I love the tunnels with all the cool colored lights. That is awesome. Alright, coming in at number 14, we have at Cedar Point Millennium Force. Oh my gosh, this thing is awesome. The speed on this is fantastic. Get a lot of speed. Those bank turns are awesome. Some of them provide so many G's that you almost gray out when you're coming out of them. The airtime is phenomenal. It is just awesome. Nice amount of floater with that one ejector hill before the end. This is just overall a fun ride, and it plows through the forest of where Dinosaurs Alive used to be. It is amazing. And if you ever get a chance to ride this tonight, do it because it is awesome. Just be warned of the amount of bugs you might be getting on your face. Next up at number 13, we head down to Florida at Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay, Kumba. This ride is just awesome. This ride is straight up intense. You want an intense ride with loops? You got it. Just 7 insane inversions with one of the fastest zero G rolls that I can recall. The Cobra roll is amazing, and even after the mid-course brake run, after you get trimmed heavily, that second half doesn't feel dull at all. The second half just continues to plow through the course, and of course it ends out with a double helix that slams you into your seat. This thing is just insane. We're going to stay down in Florida for number 12, Mako, one of my favorite hypercoasters, and this is absolutely my favorite B&M Hyper. The ejector on this is insane. This feels like a mini Fury. It has awesome drop, almost a 90-degree turn on that first turn, and then you just got airtime after airtime after airtime. And of course the theming is amazing too. They created a whole broken pirate ship with barnacles all over it that even the coaster passes through, and that is just so awesome. And finally, before we go into the top 10, number 11 is in Kentucky. We have Storm Chaser, one of the most insane rides ever created. This thing will throw you around. It is relentless. Holy cow, I don't remember ever feeling that much amount of airtime ever on an RMC, period. It is insane how violent this thing is. I rode it during the summer and it was hauling. This thing is incredible, and I recently saw the new light package on it, and that is super cool. Just overall, you just got the inversion on a drop, you got insane airtime, you got a trick track double up. I mean, what else could you want? This thing is just absolutely breathless. Alrighty, top 10, number 10. This thing is insane. Talk about another violent coaster. We moved down to San Antonio, Texas for Wonder Woman at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. This thing is ridiculous. Oh my gosh. I could not even catch my breath. There's not a dull moment on this ride where you can even catch your breath. You're just shocked, especially in the back row. Jeez Louise, it is insane. That drop right there alone, once you go into that drop, there's no turning back. You get immediately thrown into inversion, to airtime, to twistiness. Oh my gosh, it just doesn't stop. And even though it's short, I do not feel it on this ride. This entire ride is so impactful that you don't even realize how short this thing is. It is insane. Alrighty, at number 9 in Hershey, Pennsylvania, at Hershey Park, we have Sky Rush. Oh my gosh. This thing is amazing. The airtime is breathless. Just the entire time you're just getting ejected out of your seat. Then you get thrown into the turns with the G's. And then you get some nice cool bank turns as well. Absolutely, this ride deserves to be in the top 10. This thing is phenomenal. Next up, we go out to as far west as I've ever been currently in Utah. In Farmington, Utah, we have Cannibal at Lagoon Park. Oh my gosh, that is one of my favorite drops on a coaster ever. 205 feet in the air and you go 116 degrees. What else could you want? Oh my gosh, that is insane. And all you have is a lap bar. You have a lap bar and you go 216 degrees at 200 feet in the air. And then you just go into amazing inversions. And of course, the lagoon roll with the hang time. Oh my gosh, that lagoon roll is insane. And you just get a nice amount of intensity through those helixes. And you even go through some scaffolding as well. It is awesome. Number 7 is in Doswell, Virginia. We have Twisted Timbers at King's Dominion. This is by far my favorite airtime on a RMC, period. It is perfect. It is the right amount of airtime for me anyway. The way you get airtime into those first 3 hills, and then throughout the ride with a Twit Track double up and other crazy airtime hills, and even an outer bank turn, it is awesome. And let's not forget to mention, of course, that awesome inversion on a drop. Those things are insane. And then you get planted into some G's as you go into that bank turn. It is overall phenomenal, and this ride is just perfect. Talk about perfection. We have a beautiful coaster that barely even hits 100 feet. Number 6, all the way at Cedar Point, we have Maverick. Oh my gosh. It was hauling in 2018, and I absolutely had a blast. The first half is insane with a crazy amount of airtime on that one airtime hill, and then it goes into the railroad sirens, and then you just launch 70 miles per hour out of that, and then you go into an insane second half where it's just bank turns and speed. This thing is insane, and even on the first half, I even get some stars and start to gray out a little bit because you really feel the intensity on this ride. This thing hauls, and it is awesome. Alrighty guys, my top 5. Here we go. Number 5, in the Carolinas, we have Fury 325. This thing is a masterpiece. Well constructed, perfect for the general public so that it's not too intense, but it's still awesome to fly through bank turns with amazing airtime, and of course, it stays low to the ground so you really feel the speed. It is incredible, and not only that, you get an awesome airtime on a bank turn with what they call a treble clef, and then you drop down into, of course, at night where it's all neon green hexagons. It is absolutely stunning. This ride in general is just stunning to look at and a better one to ride. Number 4, we go back down to San Antonio, Texas for Iron Rattler. Oh, wow. This ride is insane. That is my favorite drop on a RMC, period. You drop turning a different direction down the quarry wall and then turn once again to another direction, and you just do almost like a little bit of a twister section. You go back over the quarry wall, dive back down it again, and then to only go right up back to the quarry wall to go upside down. And on the quarry wall, it may seem on the POV slow, but in reality, this thing is just hauling through there. And then once again, dives off the quarry wall. And then just when you think the ride's over, it actually goes inside the quarry wall to come back out with the same amount of ejector. I never once thought that this ride was short. This thing packs in so much, it is insane. And of course, let's not mention those Gerstlauer trains are comfortable, and back row on this thing. Actually, any row on this thing, let's be honest, any row on this thing is awesome. Here we go, top 3. Number 3, we go back up to Massachusetts for Superman the Ride at Six Flags New England. This thing is awesome. I've only ridden it once in my lifetime, and I remember getting on it, and when I rode it, I was just jaw dropped at the airtime on this thing. You drop into a tunnel, come out, and you go into amazing airtime hill, get planted with G-force on a bank turn, go right back in for some more airtime, and then it decides to go into a twister section with a mix of positive G's and insane negative G's. It is awesome, and I thoroughly love this ride. I know a lot of people complain about the restraint system, but for me, they didn't bother me. The only thing that was weird was feeling airtime on my knees instead of where the restraint usually is closer to my waist. I just want to say, with number 2 and number 1, please, I will explain these number 2 and number 1, because I know a lot of people are going to be very either disappointed or they're going to be wondering why did I choose this way. And like I said, this changes every day, but I have a certain reason why I placed these two where they are. So number 2 is at Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio, Steel Vengeance. This thing is insane. This is a coaster enthusiast dream. Everything you could want on a roller coaster is on a roller coaster for a coaster enthusiast. I don't know basically what the general public will think, but I know for a fact coaster enthusiasts have just been having their eyes googly-eyed all over this coaster, and I was one of them. I mean, what else could you want from a ride? A 200-foot tall, 90-degree drop, fastest airtime in the world, the most amount of airtime in the world, and you got some of the best too. You got an amazing airtime, then you go into an Outer Bank turn, then you go into some of the most insane inversions because you're doing them so fast. And then, of course, for the first half, for me, the first half just blew my mind. And now the second half felt more like Twisted Timbers, which is amazing, but compared to that first half, give or take. I know, like I said, that's why I said in the first part of this video that a lot of people have different opinions. That's why I say favorites, because my experience is most definitely different from everybody else's. But I love the second half too, with the amazing amount of airtime and just the fact that you're just plowing through the entire structure of this thing is insane. You don't realize that on Mean Streak, but on this thing, it is just incredible. And what a way to end out the ride with just airtime after airtime after airtime. I love it. So that means if you've been on my channel for a while, you already know what my favorite steel coaster is. And I kind of said it this way. Every time I ride this roller coaster, not only does it bring back nostalgia for the first time I ever rode it, this coaster, I will admit, I have a soft spot for it. I've been riding it since 2013, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. And every time I ride it, I still get the same reaction. I just absolutely love this roller coaster. And I think we all have this type of coaster. So my number 1 is located at Kings Dominion in Doswell, Virginia, Intimidator 305, my favorite steel roller coaster. This thing is incredible. You have an amazing first drop, especially in the back row, then you get slammed into positive G's for so long that most people will gray out, and some, including me, will black out. It is intense. Talk about an intense roller coaster. You got one. This thing is also, for those that love intensity, will go googly-eyed over this thing because of the amount of intensity you're getting. That twister section where you're just getting banks like on Maverick while going almost 90 miles an hour through them, and then you have amazing airtime on the first hill, then on the other 2 hills, and then of course there's a couple of small little airtime moments throughout the twister section, including right before the brake run where you crest up, you get some nice airtime. This thing for me just has everything I want in it. Now, there are a couple times where I have to take a break after riding it a couple times because it is insanely intense. But like I said in the beginning, the reason why I mainly have that at number 1, besides the fact that it is exactly the type of ride for me, besides Steel Vengeance being, I mean, all these rides are incredible. Every one of them just blew my mind. But Intimidator 305, I have a soft spot for it. Like, there's so much nostalgia. Why do you think so many people have the Beast as one of their favorites? Because for those people, it's nostalgia to them. Or Millennium Force is nostalgia for a lot of people too. It's the same thing for me with Intimidator 305. It's an absolutely amazing ride, and I still remember in my head, vividly remember it in my head, the first time I ever rode it, it was during Halloween Haunt at Kings Dominion, October 26, 2013, and during that time they turned off all the lights. So it was completely pitch black when riding Intimidator, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. It was incredible, and riding it with my father that day was absolutely more incredible. So thank you guys so much for watching my top 25 favorite roller coasters that are constructed from steel that I have ridden. So now that you've heard of mine, I want you to post in the comments below what are your 25 favorite steel roller coasters that you've personally ridden. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to always leave a like on this video and subscribe if you really like this video, because I'll be creating more cool content like this, and of course all the park visits when I go to other amusement parks around the country or perhaps the world. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, roller coaster fanatics, keep coasting.